we're dealing with today because marketing has become virtual, and it's really tricky when you have something as great as a horse to market. So my first thing that I'm going to tell you, though, is as you start to market and you think about, how many of you do marketing? Okay. How many of you have a breeding business or a horse business? How many of you have a marketing plan? Ooh, I'm impressed, that's good. And I want to talk about how important that plan is, and that's what I'm going to give you the rough, quick framework of, because that is number one. And you would not build a house without a blueprint. You probably wouldn't take a road trip without a GPS. You cannot have marketing without a marketing plan. If you do a little bit of marketing here, or you take an ad out there, or somebody puts so much pressure on you, you feel you got to be in the Live Oak program, that's called a random act of marketing. And it's not a bad thing, but it's not part of a program with an objective. So before I get to the quick study of how to do that, I want to ask you a little bit about thinking. You don't have to answer it, although you can. Who are you and what is your brand? Are you a large breeder? Are you a small breeder? Are you somebody who makes competition horses ideally for driving, for jumping, for dressage? What is it that you do? And you really need to think about that, because that's going to bring me to my next question. And that is, what is your USP? Does anybody know what a USP is?
Unique selling.
Come on, it's like KWPN. Nobody knows what it really means, right? Unless you're Dutch, okay? USP is the key to your marketing, okay? And it is your unique selling proposition. And everybody that's in the horse business has one unique selling proposition that we share. It's not unique, it's a selling proposition. And does anybody know what that is? Has anybody ever been at one of my talks before? I'm going to tell you what it is. Okay, everybody in this room, I got a good feeling, loves the sound of a content horse eating his hay or her hay. We love horses. We love Black Beauty. We have this thing that is so amazing in our society. It's not virtual, it's not anything, it breathes, it smells good. We love horses, so does your market. So when you start thinking about your unique selling proposition, your USP, and this is important, it sounds silly, but it's not. You have to think, what do I do or bring to the horse world that's really unique? What's the best thing I do? Is there anybody here who has something that they think is kind of unique or something they're really good at? Come on, somebody must. You do. Thank you.
I take good pictures.
Okay, so you take great pictures. So you're able to capture Black Beauty, as I call him, and share it with people, and that's a really good thing. So how does that relate back to your business, or are you a photographer?
No, I just like to take pictures of my horses.
Okay, and what's so great about your horses?
They're Dutch.
Well, yeah, they're Dutch.
They're my horses that I'm trying to promote. So I have found that by taking good pictures of them and sharing those pictures, I have created an image that people have. I think that it's been very beneficial to have good pictures.
I agree, and that's a super tactic, but it may not be your overall business's unique selling proposition. So you start to think today, throughout the weekend, what do I do that I think I do better or as good as the best? You know, and that way you can start developing a unique branding message, because you want to say something that not everybody else is saying. However you say it, with great photographs, through social media, through traditional advertising, you want to say something that's unique to you, okay? If you just breed Dutch horses, which is pretty amazing, and I want you to know that in my barn I have sadly he's become 18-hand Dutch warm blood, who's also a Dutch harness horse. I don't know how that exactly works, but he gets a couple of papers. And he's a cool horse, I get it. The horses are amazing, and he is a really special animal, and I think, well, what makes him so special? Like, if I were gonna do, Gilly is his nickname, his marketing campaign, what would I do? And he would be Silly Gilly. Because Silly Gilly loves to work, he loves to play, he loves to see you. He's the only horse that wants to be tacked up to do something. He's very forward, but he's not gonna run away with you. He's just silly. He has a ball, he has toys, he has all sorts of stuff. He's Silly Gilly. So I have just given him a unique selling proposition. and he is for sale. I don't know if that will really sell him, but you'd have to really get him to know that. They much prefer that he can do tempi changes than be silly. But I think you have to look at everything you do, that one happens to rhyme, so it's easy, and put a unique spin on it. So I'm gonna double back maybe at the end if we have time, I don't know if we will, and ask you to really think about your unique selling proposition and maybe come out with some ideas on that. So going faster, because I'm gonna go really fast, we're gonna go to the critical first step, and you can see what it is. Okay, if you don't know where you wanna get to with your marketing, so the two of you that have plans, the first thing you wanna know is, what do I want? What's a successful outcome? I work with a lot of people in marketing. Chester was one for many, many years. And they would say, well, I'm not happy with this. And I realized later, I really have to define what is success to them, or to me, because I'm working for them. What is success? Okay, is success selling 3 foals? Is success getting an Olympic rider on your horse? Is success having a horse that's in a team at Live Oak? What is success? Is success making enough money so you can breed 10 mares next year? I don't know, but you need to know, because you're gonna say, okay, here's who I am, here's my unique selling proposition, here's what I do, what's success when I put this marketing plan together? And that's really important, knowing that going in. It is critical, because if you don't know what success is, you don't know if you've achieved it. You know, when you go in a dressage ring and you compete, you have a score in your head that you'd like to meet or beat. I ride dressage, so that's how I think of it. Okay, and if I didn't have that in mind, would a 62 be good? Would a 67 even be good? You know, I don't know unless I have a plan, and I evaluate my horse, I go in to ride my test, and I think, okay, this is where I want to be. And then we see how short we fall or how far we exceed, and we raise the bar. But if you don't have a plan for what you want your marketing to do, it's hard to say if you got there or not. And I know a lot of people who have a lot of good marketing plans that have no idea what success is. And I have a story of a bit company. I'm going to try to make it really short. I worked with for a year. They weren't particularly happy, and they said at the end of the year, we don't want to work with you anymore. And I said, well, good, I really don't want to work with you either. You're kind of cranky, you never say, you know, thank you. In fact, the woman is, she's not in this room, I love her, by the way. She always yelled at me, because she never talked to any of my employees. She would just yell at me. And her thinking was, she's a doctor, a really lovely woman who has quite a few Dutch horses. And she said, you're the boss. So if something goes wrong, I want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to somebody who maybe couldn't make a decision to do it otherwise. And I thought that was really good. Well, fast forward a year later, she came to me and she said, you know, I'm bringing this amazing bit into the country. That is the new Ashul bit that many of you know. And she said, I really want you to promote it. And I was like, huh? Why? You seem to really dislike me. And she said, no, I read your marketing proposal, and I read the objectives, and I realized you met them all. They just weren't my objectives. I had different expectations, but when I read through what you did exactly what you said you did, and I really was impressed with that, so let's do the same thing again. And that time, we were a little clearer on what our objectives were, so we could get it together, and it worked. And we're great friends today, and she's a wonderful person. The next slide is gonna be about who are your competitors. And who are your competitors out there? All you Dutch horse breeders?
Each other.
Each other, yes. You're competitive with each other. Who else? And that brings me to this slide. So Starbucks didn't think McDonald's was their competitor. McDonald's sells hamburgers, French fries, and crap. And Starbucks sells coffee. It seemed like they're not a competitor, correct? Just like I'm sure, you know, you probably don't see other breeds, some of the, you know, if they're riding Morgans, they're probably not, you know, breeding Morgans, they're probably not your competitor. Or if they're breeding, I don't know, Gypsy Vanners. Are we allowed to call them Gypsy Vanners, or are they just Vanners now? I can't keep up, they got 5 or 6 registries, it's hard to follow. That seems to be a trend. But who is your competitor? So Starbucks said no, McDonald's is not our competitor. Let's fast forward to the next slide. Here we are, 10 years later. McDonald's has some seriously good looking coffee, and if you switch those cups, I think you would find you probably like the McDonald's coffee better than the Starbucks if it was in the right cup. So they didn't predict that that was a competitor. So when you start looking at your marketing plan, think of competitors outside the box. Everything is a competitor. In the horse show world, it's getting really crazy. We don't know where our horse shows are going to be, where our industry is going. So you have to look at who's stealing these people away from the horse world and why. So I want you to look at your competitors. And then the last one of this group, if you go up one, who's your target? Who do you want to reach? I think Diddy is a Dutch horse. I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah, he sure looks like one. I would even say he looks like he has a little Dutch harness in him, but don't tell Laura
He
that I
does.
said that.
He does.
Gelder, yeah. See, there you go. But who are you after? When you're doing what you do, how many of you breed horses and sell them? Great. What age do you sell them at? Any age you can get money. I like that. That's the best answer yet.
Every big
Yeah,
for sale.
she does get a prize. Find a prize. You get a prize for that answer because it's so great. But whatever you're selling, who are you selling it to? Who do you want to sell it to? Who do you tell about it? You got to tell somebody. If you don't tell anybody, it'll be really cool. It'll be so secret that no one will ever buy them, but eventually you'll have a lot of them. You can just keep them all. So you have to have a target of who you're going after. If you're breeding horses for jumping, if you're breeding horses for dressage, if you're breeding horses for event, any of those things, you've got to have somebody in mind, your ideal customer. And how you find that person is you have sold some horses. Has anybody in here sold horses? Good. Okay, so you've sold some horses. Talk to the people you sold those horses to if you guys are still on good terms. Just kidding. Okay, because they know what attracted them to you, what attracted them to your horse. Talk to people that are buying horses. Talk to your people that aren't buying your horses but are buying other horses. What makes them tick? And then personify who your perfect person is, because that's who you're going to market to. The person that is your target, the one you want. It doesn't have to be Laura, but she wouldn't be a bad one if you have dressage horses. Okay, and then we're going to talk about how, okay, so we got a plan. We know what we are. We've got a unique selling proposition. We know who we want to target. We know everything we want to do. We've done our critical first step. We know what a positive outcome is. And remember, a critical step could be a monetary step. You know, I want to sell $300,000 worth of horses in 2 years or whatever it is. It could be monetary. It doesn't have to be as specific as, you know, but it can't be non-specific. All right, so we have all that. What the heck do we do with it? We got a marketing plan outlined. You're going to do all this, I'm sure, before you get home on the plane if you're flying, not in the car if you're driving. We've got traditional advertising, and this is a tricky place because traditional advertising, as we know, is slipping away. You know, how many magazines that we used to put ads in? How many even websites that are still maybe up, but they aren't active anymore? Some of the other things, direct mail, it still works. Is it cost effective anymore? Does anybody care if they get something in the mail? Probably not. Word of mouth is great, but it's a little willy-nilly because you don't know what they're going to do, and there's the telephone game, you know. And then farm visits and open houses. How many of you still do these? Good. I mean, I think these are great because it gives people the opportunity to get close to Black Beauty. You get to touch them and feel them. But in our big virtual world, you may want to do some farm visits and open houses online because you can actually make a virtual open house because sometimes you can't reach your audience if they're too far away. And then, you know, branded items, which we see all over here with the KWPN stuff and partnerships, sponsorships, specialty stuff. All of that is valuable, but it's not the future, it's the past. And I wish it weren't because I'm a dinosaur. The future is social media, Google ads, websites, email marketing, e-blasts. It's virtual. Influencer marketing, it sucks. But that is our future. And I hate to say that because I come from the old school. Nothing I like more. I was a television producer for many, many years. I loved what we could create, a feeling and everything with that. But honestly, that can become a virtual thing. Your photographs can become a virtual thing. So we can make it our friend. We have to because this is how people market. There are some downsides, as we've been seeing most recently. You know, the downsides of the trolls people just get all this momentum for things that are very negative. People are very comfortable in social media, especially being super negative because nobody can see them, they think, you know. So we really have to watch it, but I have a super expert here who's going to answer all your questions and guide you through social media and all of the digital media. I'm going to bring over Alex.
Hi everyone, my name's Alex Stark. I work in social media and digital marketing, which Johnny just loves. Okay, so in today's digital age, social media is it's so much more than a platform for you to just post and do your updates. It's a great place to build relationships and community. Yeah, wait, are we back? Can we go back a little bit? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so there's so many different aspects of the digital marketing. So we're gonna really focus on social media because that is a beast on its own, and we have like 12 minutes next. So with social media, you can build your relationships community, and it's a great place to drive the business growth. You wanna connect with your audience, showcase your horses, and promote your breeding program. Those pictures that you have, that's a great way to do that, especially if you have that visual aesthetic to kind of tie together the brand. Some of it's branded, and then they know, like someone can go in the groups or on Facebook and see the photo and they'll know that's you because that's your brand. Yes.
How many of you are using social media today to do some marketing? Great. And is it part of your marketing plan, like you know specifically what you're trying to achieve when you put something up there? Because that's really gonna be an important thing. Next.
So I kind of broke down the different platforms. Some of the different platforms, there's just too many to put up there. How many of us are on Facebook marketing? Instagram? LinkedIn? YouTube? TikTok? Ooh, okay. All right. Did I miss any? Twitter. That's kind of
about like an ex-husband or an ex-wife in some cases.
Twitter has rebranded to X, and it's all, you see it in quotes, so it's there. If you want to take a picture of this slide, this is a good breakdown of the different platforms. I find that using the Meta Business Suite, it's pretty easy to be on Facebook and Instagram because you can cross-post. So with your marketing plan, just like you have a plan for your business, you have a plan for your social media. And you take that plan and you schedule it throughout the month, so that way you don't have to spend every day saying, what am I gonna post, and does this picture look nice with the last picture I posted? Next. Okay, so really the key to social media, you have to have good content. You can post every single day, but if it's not good content, people are not gonna interact with you. So you seem to have a good plan there. There's different content creators you can work with, digital agencies, and really people want to see the farm, they want to see the behind the scenes. And if you don't like that on the profile, let's say for Instagram, you want it to look really pretty, use that stuff for your stories, your behind the scenes, and people will start going to your stories if they're interested in your horses. What else? And then, we've talked a lot about two-way communication. With the breeders and the programs, there's so many questions out there and people don't know how to ask them or where to ask them. You can promote that you're gonna do a live Q&A answer session. You can just do so many different things. You know how we're here talking to you guys. Do you guys have any questions about social media so far? No, yes.
I do actually. What is your feeling on actually putting prices out there in any publication, but on social media? I mean, I never do, but I don't know if that's positive or negative.
So yeah, that's a really good question.
I'm gonna jump in with you just as a horse person. Okay, so you'll see some of the sale barns will put like A, B, C, D, and they put them in price categories. That's kind of a nice way. Where it gets tricky with the price, first of all, it saves you a ton of trouble. If somebody's looking for a $30,000 horse and you have a $75,000 horse, they're not gonna contact you. Okay, so that's good, because you don't really wanna talk to them if that's your case. However, you get into the thing where you have trainers that sell your horse and they want to mark it up and put a commission on it, and it gets kind of tricky there. So that's where the pricing thing gets, because when you put a price up and if there's a commission on it, you better have that already backed out in your mind. So if I put my horse out for $50,000, I really wanted 45 for him, you know, because I know somebody's going to get 10%. So that gets a little tricky. With that said, I personally think the more information you give me, the more likely I am to be a qualified lead for you. Because I'm not gonna call on the horse I can't afford, and I'm gonna call on the horses that I can afford. Now, I think that's not across the board, but I also think the industry has to watch, especially with young horses and foals, because I mean, people are out there looking for stuff for nothing. you know? So I think it's great if everybody says, listen, this isn't a $10,000 foal, you know, or 3,000 or whatever people, you know, the ridiculous things that people come up with. So I think when you have that opportunity, we can start educating the audience as a group, not as an individual, but you got to start letting people know what things cost. So I'm not opposed, but maybe my
No, I agree. I think it's really about understanding the target audience and who you're talking to, because they're not gonna bat an eye at the price because they know that's what the horse is worth. And like you said, it's an educational piece putting it out there. I think it's fine. And then it'll really save you a lot of time on the messages with all the people asking, how much, how much? So a lot of people do that because they want the messages to come in. And if you are kind of looking for that type of lead, you can weed through it. But I personally am with you. Put as much as you can out there, just be honest, and on to the next, right? So,
Another question. Go ahead.
Would you use the terms like mid-fours, mid-fives, high fives? What terminology do you use for
Okay,
pricing?
if I see one more ad with a bunch of carrots,
Right.
I think I'm gonna throw up. I'm going to go to their farm with a big 25-pound bag of carrots and say, here you go, here's your 5 carrots. It's just, no, a price is a price. This is an immature game that people are playing and they're like, oh, I don't have to really put the price, I can just put the ballpark. If you wanna put a ballpark, that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's not actually true. A lot of people do it because you'll get kicked off of
Right.
Facebook.
Yes, you beat me to it. Some places you can't put pricing, you can't even really say they're for sale. And there, I don't think I would put pricing and I don't think I would put the carrot thing because it tends to backfire, you know? So I totally agree. If you can't, if it's a site that doesn't want selling and you're really trying to sell, there are a lot of cool, subtle ways to do it. And I think carrots is not it, just me, it's a personal opinion.
but even still on that, even with the business pages, if you put a $sign in numbers, the algorithm's gonna flag that. You're gonna reach less of your audience. If you put the word sell, if you put the word enter, if you put the word comment, the algorithm's watching all of these things. And that's why you'll see people put sell and instead of an E, they put a 3, or a giveaway with the spaces, things like that. People are trying to beat the algorithm. If you're,
Offered and available.
yeah, you can do so many ways around it. I personally feel that if you're in a group, just follow the rules like everyone else, you know? I don't like the backdoor stuff because I wouldn't want to get something from that person. I'd be like, oh, she's always doing that. That's so annoying. You know, she's cutting the line. It's, you know, I think you're building a brand, and what you do on social media says a lot about you. Johnny was looking at horses last night, and she looked at the person's profile, and she's like, they were just selling Taylor Swift tickets last week in this group. Like, how can I take them serious now for a horse? And so you really have to consider what you're doing, because if these people are gonna give you serious money, they're gonna look at your profile, they're gonna see what you posted, they're going to your farm page, they're going to your website, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, they're looking at all of that. They're not just gonna hand you their money or come check out the horse if they know what they're doing. It's, you know, you're gonna stalk them on social media, right? So what was that question?
I just have a question about Instagram with stories versus your not real or your post.
The profile.
Right, so do you recommend, like, if you put something on your story, do you share the same as a post, or do you think it should be 2 separate contents?
I personally like it to be different because what happens? You go on Facebook and you get bored of your news feed, so you jump on Instagram. You don't want to see what you just saw on Facebook on Instagram. I like to post it, the same content, different days and times to try to catch new people. It's an extra step. I think it's worth it. That really helps with your organic reach. And then the stories, if I have a new post, sometimes I like to do something like fun, behind the scenes, engaging, and then right behind it, I'll share my post to the story, you know, tap new post. Because the idea is to get them over to your profile and see it. So I like to do it more that way. I don't really love to just go me, because people don't want to see me. They want, you know, they don't want the pitch.
Do you think it's better to do it as what you want to get out there as a post and then do the story separately? Versus
Right, because the post will stay there, and then the story is just the fun stuff that builds that relationship and helps develop that community. And now on Instagram, you can do like a private audience. So if you're very organized and have like a good group on Instagram of people you've sold to, you can just send them new stuff before other people can see it, things like that. It's getting very intricate with the community. It's cool.
Are there any tricks to maintain, because I know the news feed, I mean, unless you say all, you know, it picks what you see.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any tricks that you have where you can, I'm talking Facebook, I guess, but you can make it so that you pop up on
newsfeed, like it filters in.
Is that the next slide?
Push you there, because it's like, how do they
Versus
pick?
Could you
You know,
clip?
you're not seeing everybody.
Well, there's two ways to do it, honestly, because I mean, you can send the link to all of your friends. Hey, go like or comment on this post. That's gonna give it life again. So basically, what happens is you post your photo on Facebook and Instagram. People start interacting because it shows up in their newsfeed. If they like the post, they're more likely to see your next post and the more of your content. If they scroll right past you, you're less likely to show up in their feed. But if Johnny comes after 2 days and says, wow, that's a great looking horse, that post gets life again. You've just given it life. So it'll start kind of popping back up for people. So the people that clicked on the photo but didn't necessarily hit like, they're gonna see that post again. So the idea is to kind of just do that, or obviously the other option is paid. So you can go the organic content route and, use your village, send it to your family, go like this picture, go, do this, share this horse on your story. And a lot of the times they do it, especially if you make it easy with the link, they'll do it. So just tell everyone to share it. And then you have the paid content option. Paid content is a tricky game. I do recommend it. Nowadays on Instagram, it's really hard to reach people unless you're doing paid content. You're reaching 10% of what you're reaching on Facebook. So and what's nice is you can pick your demographics, you can get more specific there. It's not very specific in the equestrian world, but there are some breeds you can find in there, and they do have Dutch stuff in there, so that's good. You can promote your content, and so on Instagram you can do sponsored stories. Personally, I feel that the younger generation doesn't go through the feed, they just pop through stories. So that's a good way to get into that next buying generation if that's your goal or your objective is to kind of build up. And then on YouTube it's pretty cool with the ads. You can pick where you want them to start seeing the video, and then the video would start right from like that hot spot that you think is gonna drag them in.
How important do you think hashtags are for also getting out there?
You guys have some really good questions. I feel like we didn't even need to do this. Hashtags are kind of falling out because what's happened is it's national, International Live Oak Day, and people are going to use that hashtag. That's a branded hashtag. That's awesome because that's a good way to click, go see the photos, see what's going on. But if you do hashtag distributor, then that's just spammy, or hashtag St. Patrick's Day. That's where all the bots get you. And then I feel that, you start getting spam messages, which by the way, never click a link. Facebook or Instagram, they're not gonna message you that you were reported for this or that. They'll never do that. And if you do click that link, just change your password as fast as you can, because they will steal whatever business pages they can off of you and you can't get them back. And they'll even take your own profile. They'll change your password, change the photos, and there's no way to get it back, which is really sad. So you always want to have an extra person on your account, so if you do get locked out, they're still admin and can take care of things there. But I feel that the generic hashtags are kind of out.
Yeah,
It's more for branding.
This is it, because I have a million that used to actually get you on people's For You page, like, Dutch and horse and horseback riding and all that. Now it's like not happening.
No, not happening. No, that's out. That's over. The bots kind of ruined that, I feel like, because they did do a good job. But I do think for branding, it's really strong.
Yeah.
So what do we have left? What's next? Does everyone know what a bot is?
No.
Okay, so a bot,
US pig, no, just kidding.
they're like these automated robots on the internet that people put out there to steal your information or accounts, basically.
What do they look like?
It looks like a pretty message from Facebook that says, we're sorry, your account has violated our terms. Click this link so we can take care of it. And they look very authentic. I've had plenty of clients click it. I get them forwarded like 5 times a week, and I just say, don't click the link if you did change your password. You can report it as spam, but it's a mess. So measuring success, you can, with Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of them, it's really nice. There's insights. So if you click on insights, you can see your posts, and it gives you a breakdown of how many people you reached, how many people you engaged, if you paid, how many people that paid. And I always recommend people go back and look at their content, see how it did, and whatever did really well, build off of that. That's what your people want to see. So you can go in and pull like every quarter your top performing posts, your weakest performing posts, compare and say, okay, we're gonna do our photos all this way because these were our top, and then these, they didn't really respond. And then that's a great way to keep growing your business. Any questions on the insights? Or on social media in general, because it kind of is like a whole beast. Are we at?
Your question? No.
Okay, next. So, hot topics. How many are on Facebook groups? Right, that's where we're posting our horses, right? Okay, other than posting our horses, what do we do in these groups? Genius. Okay, I highly recommend if you're gonna be posting your horses in these groups, like try answering questions and helping people too. You know, give advice, free advice. Free advice is great because really what happens is they see your name, you start building that credibility, building your brand, building that community, and then as soon as your horse comes up, oh, so-and-so was looking for that. They start to help you. They really do become your friends. It's really cool to see. Those groups are really great communities. I think it's best to do it as a person over a page, but a lot of them you can join as a page too. AI technology. Who's using AI technology for their social media?
What is it?
So chat, the artificial intelligence. So there's a lot of different artificial intelligence you can use, and a lot of it is actually pretty bad. You're much better. So they don't really know the industry. The stuff they write is crazy, and people that don't have that equestrian or background, it gets lost in translation, and you really sound like you don't know what you're doing. I think that original content is really best, but you can use AI to, let's say, help you get ideas for what to post or to help you make your marketing or social media marketing plan. You can use AI to check the grammar on a caption if you're not sure, things like that. There are very valuable ways to use it, but do not use it to write your posts. What else do we have? SEO, search engine optimization. This is all tied with your website. So whoever does your website should have put some pretty keywords on it for SEO. And so basically that means when someone goes to Google, you show up. You want to show up, and it's so competitive. So now social media is turned to SEO, and they want to see some of your website words on those posts. So if you're posting on your business page, and you can kind of incorporate some of the same exact words off of your website, that's a good way to kind of tie it all in. Because I'm sure some of you see, you look up a business, the social media shows up before their website half the time.
Let me just ask, how many of you have websites? Okay, so that's a pretty good chunk. And this topic of search engine op is a really important one. It's a whole other day of getting together
It's so
and
big.
going through it, but it is valuable. And the first tip that Alex shared of using the same language is very, very valuable. Paid advertising will help you raise that a little bit, but that's a place where you can really look at your competitors. You can go right into their sites, look at the words of your successful competitors, and hey, you're not successful competitors, I guess, and see what words are working for them. That's a community thing that you can share because there's enough out there for everybody. So while you're competitors, you're also partners in growing your businesses, and you're the Dutch competitors group, not the Morgan or Saddlebred or whatever their ones. I forget, they're all Dutch to me. They're the best. It's true. But you really do want to make sure that you're thinking about where you come in these rankings without getting too into it today, because we're really limited on time. It is important if you have a website, and keeping your website updated, and blogs on your website are a great place to grow information. And there's a lot of people, myself included, who have questions. I mean, I was fascinated when Chester was talking about some of the bloodlines, because I'm thinking, what my horse's bloodlines mean. He's silly Gilly, but what consistency there is. So I think those kinds of questions can be answered. I often see questions on social media about, I have a mare with a...
I have a mare with a long back, or I have this or that. What's a good cross? How do I get gates on? So I think the more, you guys know so much, and you don't even value it because it's just what you do and what you learn and what you share with each other. But if you start sharing that with the big world, you're going to build your search engine up a little bit, because people are going to want to know what you know. You have the answers, and it has to be a sincere answer. You can't just say my stallion's the best, or this mare, but really the knowledge that you have is the content that you want to get out there to grow your digital profile.
Your question?
How, if I'm sensitive to trolls, how do I know when someone is to block and when someone is just having a bad day?
I'm gonna jump in here for a
That's a
minute
good
too.
question.
Okay, so listen, our industry is a small industry in a big world, okay? And anytime somebody posts something that is negative to the interest of the industry, that doesn't mean, and we've got cruelty stuff coming up all over, and every groom is pulling out stops and getting rid. The reality is we need to keep our messages 100% positive, 100%, because we don't want to diminish our industry. We don't want PETA here. We don't want people saying, oh yeah, you know, and it's not just the Dutch, it's horses in general. Our agriculture is shrinking. Our horse world will shrink. We absolutely exclude people, unfortunately, because of the price of doing this and the space to do it in. So we need to be the positive force. Everything that comes out of your mouth onto paper or onto digital needs to be positive. If you see somebody that's posted something negative, I avoid them. And I actually have another system. When somebody, I always like to, when their birthday comes up, I make a little note, and my present to them is, you're not my friend anymore. And they don't even notice it because they're getting tons of, oh, happy birthday. But negativity is the death to our sport. It's the death to our industry. So if you have negative people, and you know we have them, I would say you can block now. You know, you can unfriend, block them. Do it right away. Don't wait. Because who wants that negativity in their day? You get up, you go out. In my case, I feed a bunch of horses. It's a beautiful thing. The sun is nice at that time of the day. Most of the time, it's a pretty good thing. Depends how many fences Silly Gilly has taken down. But reality is, that's a beautiful time of day. And if you go on social media, and it's hard not to, stuff's addictive, and you start reading 2 or 3 negative comments, that's changing your day. This is also your life. So I can't stress enough to be a positive force. I know so much about so many people for so long being in this business, and I have a real hard, fast rule. I only use my power for good, because that helps the industry. Go ahead.
What about in a group,
Well,
like,
as an organization, so
As an
KWPN-NA,
organization.
we have some people that will get negative about our policies or things that we do. I mean, do
And
we allow
again,
that?
if you can address them offline and bring them around to the positive way of thinking, because that they have something they're mad about, you know, and I mean, you see it all over USEF all the time. Well, I don't want to pay the drug fee. We shouldn't be reporting online with a standard answer, well, the drug fee, you know, it's a bunch of crap. Somebody should reach out to somebody who has a negative situation and see if we can solve it or help them understand why something is. Some people you can't.
can you block them then? Is it okay? as
Oh,
an
absolutely.
organization?
Block
Absolutely.
away.
Block away. Set the
Your
settings.
space.
Set the settings for the words, the profanity high, so they can't get away with anything. You can do all of that stuff, but if someone's gonna sit there and be a bully, absolutely be done with them.
Well, some of these people are like attention seekers, and then they just try to rile up people, and they seem to need a lot of attention.
You know, I've seen a lot of groups do kind of like strike systems, like you've been warned, please watch it, because this is a nice community we're trying to build. And then the next time they're just like, okay, like, I'm sorry. And then they remove them. It kind of just is what it is. You took their platform away, they're just gonna go find someone else to troll, and then at least it won't be your people. But I definitely recommend removing and blocking people. And their comments, you don't have to answer them. You can hide it, you can remove it, or you can just say, you know, if you have a nice way to answer them or address it, give them that, but not where it would be open to conversation. I would just nip it.
Do you have a recommended frequency of posting? I mean, sometimes you get somebody that's posting all the time, you say, oh, not them again, you know?
Yeah, exactly, especially when it's a business, right? They're like, not you again. What platform are you talking about specifically?
Most of the time I'm on Facebook.
Okay, so Facebook, I would say 2 or 3 times a week is fine. You don't want to take off too long. You don't want to give it more than 2 days of no posting, because you want your audience to be used. If you could ideally post the same days, the same time, that's the most ideal for your audience. But you're looking at your insights, you're seeing when they're online. If you have fun content to post, go right ahead and post it. If it's the same content, try to space that out, because you want something in between your sales stuff, unless it's just a week of sales. So then, you know, that's all you have, like whatever it is. But you can try the stories and stuff like that to engage. Instagram really wants you posting every day at the same time.
Speaking of negative posts, well, I always add anything negative, and I mean, the one place where I've looked, if someone puts something on my page, a rant on whatever, I'm not gonna, they're worn or they're gone. You know, one chance and you're out.
Yeah.
It's about to happen to all of us.
Yeah, it's nice that they do kind of give you that option too, to limit people. If there's a person on your timeline that you're just like, your family, so you're here, then you can always hide their notifications. In the top right, there's the dots. You can hide their notifications. You can do it, pause it temporarily. You can do it forever, however you want, which is nice. And then when going back to the frequency of your posting, let's say you have like 5 things you want to post today. Don't post it all today. Post one today, schedule one for tomorrow, unless they're all time sensitive. Go ahead and take those awesome ideas that you have, but just schedule them throughout the week, because you don't want to post 5 times today and then not post for 2 weeks. It's better to split it up.
And many of you have seen like the Throwback Thursday and different things. You can do, you know, Breeders Wednesday, and you could have breeder tips every Wednesday, or, you know, what is that? Full Friday, absolutely. So that people know if they're interested in that, they can go there and find it. But don't let them down. If it's Full Friday today and it's going to be Full Friday. So that's, you know, it might have to be full moon full if you're busy and don't have time, you know, but you want to have a consistent story. But if you have something that people want, especially educational stuff that's well presented, are we done? Oh,
Yeah. Okay, cool.
no.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Just making sure.
Just question.
Any other question?
Yes, like, there's different groups, you know, some are selling foals and stuff, then there's some broodmare ones. How do you know, you don't wanna do the same thing each time, and there's some, like, selling sites on Facebook